love to write. I was always writing, but before the senior project, I never really finished anything. I'd get bored of one story and move to the next, and so it was hard for me to ever finish anything. So the senior project really helped me to discipline myself as a writer, and it taught me that when you do stick to one story, it can be very rewarding. And at first I didn't know how I was going to do it or what my story was going to be about. And luckily my dad was friends with a published author. It was Chris Benson, he wrote the Vampire 2000 series, which was very good. And he helped me along and gave me advice that I wouldn't have been able to get from other sources. And his guidance proved to be invaluable and helped me a lot. And so I'm grateful for the time that he took out of his life to help me with that. And well, first I just started brainstorming, and I had a few notes in a little notebook that looked like this so that I could remember where everything was in this town of Willowdale that I made up. And after writing and editing, I finally have this little manuscript. And if you'll permit me, I'd like to read a little bit of that to you. Okay. Decimus, Darcy said, I don't want any trouble. On the contrary, little sister, what ye called for when ye denied me my gold, Decimus' silhouette said. It's my gold, Darcy said. Perhaps you remember. Behold, Darcy, the silhouette said, raising its arms. The fog lifted, but the grass surrounding them looked as if it was fed by a stream of blood. The soil was turning a blood red. The blades of the grass themselves were turning a lighter red color, as if they had been sucking blood through their roots. That is the blood of the O'Malley family, the O'Haran family, and the O'Grady family. Fault of thee, Darcy O'Grady. So many honorable leprechauns need not have died if ye had married me. Can you hear them? They cry out from their graves, wondering why thou hast made them die in vain. Decimus said passionately. It's not real, Darcy, Clyde whispered tremulously, half for her, half for himself. How very useful the twig is making himself. Art thou not pleased with thy choice of sidekick? Decimus said, amused. Shut up, Decimus, Darcy bellowed. She felt stupid for not having something better to say. Decimus cackled greasily and began to walk towards them. Darcy didn't know what to do. Her mind raced furiously, but her eyes stayed fixed upon Decimus, who inched closer every moment. His gorgeous green eyes were bloodshot and wide with madness. His flirty mouth was pulled into a twisted grin. So, you would claim the gold as a leprechaun, little sister? Asked Decimus. Fine. Then we will duel as leprechauns duel. Unfortunately, you've chosen a weak ally. Humans hardly ever win battles against us leprechauns. Oh dear, what a bad choice thou hast made, considering ye yourself are only half. Decimus, leave Clyde out of this. This is between you and me, Darcy commanded. You should have considered that, Darcy, before you brought him here, Decimus said with mock sympathy. But I'm afraid that now I shall have to leave thee both in ruins upon this hill. Thank you.
So we're ready for questions.
Yeah.
My biggest thought, what was the hardest part for you doing, getting going and coming up with your subject matter?
Yeah, because you mentioned that you'd never finished a story.
Yeah. Well, I realized that people were into like half human beings and such, like vampires, and sometimes I even heard of mermaids and stuff like that in stories. And so I was thinking, like, what kind of supernatural being could I reinvent? And so I thought of a leprechaun. So.
I have a question about your map. And, as you're taking notes and as you're trying to keep things straight, and you mentioned that you developed this map so you could visualize the town of Willowdale. things into the story? I'm
Yeah.
curious as to how that happened.
It was more of a, like, add stuff as you go, I guess, because I'd say, oh, there needs to be this here so that this event can happen. So,
Do you think that when you write your next story, you'll have something similar?
probably. Yeah, it helped a lot to keep things straight, so.
So what do you think you want to do after high school? What is your career choice? Are you going to keep writing, or what are you thinking?
Well, maybe. I don't know if I'm a good enough writer for me to rely on just that, so I'd like to do something else as well. I'm not sure what that is yet, but yeah.
Wonderful.
Anybody have questions?
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now,